Hello and welcome to the Cricketers Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Tim Williams. We're here to take a look at the world of cricket with Australia and England nabbing first up victories in the new Test Championship cycle. Don't know where you're listening from, but down here in Australia, it is the complete opposite of summer. We're dead in the middle of winter. It's pouring down rain. It's cold. But even in bigger news, the team song for the Australian cricket team, Bryden, has been handed over to Alex Carey. Right or wrong decision?
Oh, mate, it's their decision. It's not ours to even judge on. I think it's awesome. The Australian song and the songkeeper, as it will, is just one of those kind of fun in-house traditions that us mere mortals really only kind of get exposed to when it pops up in the news. But that little video which emerged this morning from the Australian cricket team with Nathan Lyon talking about passing on the reins to Alex Carey looked pretty emotional, did Big Gaz. So
I think it was about close to a decade ago, the Huss gave it to Lyon.
Yeah, thereabouts. So it's bigger news than you think, and yeah, I'm cool. I'm happy for Carey, and I'm happy for Gaz. You know, does it signal the beginning of the end for him? I guess we don't know.
Does this cement that Alex Carey will be the Australian wicketkeeper for the next 10 years, Rando? Because you can't drop the bloke who's singing the song.
No, you can't, absolutely. And I mean, I got a fright this morning because I was looking at one of the Insta pages and obviously they clickbaited me so hard with Nathan Lyon stands down. And I'm like, what? Flip it over and it's the team song. And so heart skipped a beat. But yeah, I think Carey's in there for the long haul now. It seems like the person who does sing the team song gets much more longevity in their careers. I mean, the fact that Michael Hussey was the last one before Nathan Lyon just goes to show that. So congrats to Nathan Carey, to Alex Carey, and, you know, a great career for Nathan Lyon that he'll reflect on fondly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not his wickets, just the singing of the song.
All happening to kick the day off, guys, on today's show. Australia versus West Indies. The tourists got the job done there, but the top order headaches haven't eased with pressure on Sammy Constas and Cam Green as a number 3 batsman. England versus India, the recap there. India struggling in the field and the ability to take 20 wickets to win a test match. Is Jasper Bumrah getting enough support from his bowlers? The answer is no. Aussies in action. We're going to take a look at the star performers around the world, including a number of Mitch Owen masterclasses across the world as well. So plenty to get through on today's show, boys. We will start with Australia versus the West Indies, the recap from last week. The Aussies getting home by 159 runs, rolling the Windies for 141 in the second innings after a bit of a fright there midway through the test match. Head, Webster, Carey, they all hit 60s in the second innings. Hazelwood, 5 wickets to get us home. Shamar Joseph, 9 wickets for the game, and he had 44 off 22 in that second innings. But, boys, the result was a while ago. There's more to talk about, and we will start off with the enigmatic Caribbean poster boy, Sam Constas. Prolific on social media, not so much time at the crease for the Aussies. 3 off 14 deliveries and 5 off 38 deliveries in his 2 stints at the top of the order. My question with Sam Constas, who you get the idea, Maxie, that Australian cricket will invest in him because we already have top order issues and we know the talent that he's got. But what does the next sort of 6 or so months look like through till the end of the Ashes against England at the end of the year? Does he have the right temperament at the top of the order? Like, is he, I wouldn't say he's locked, but is he near enough locked for the start of the Ashes? What do his next 6 months look like?
It's a huge topic, isn't it? I think that at the end of the day, his technique, his temperament, his performances are going to be dissected in cricket circles by everyone who's ever picked up a bat. But I think he is safe, and I think that we need to continue to invest in him just because of, firstly, his potential, but secondly, there's no one else really pushing a consistent case to do the job that we need him to do. And I do feel like in the short career that he has had so far, the glimpses that he has shown, both in Sheffield Shield but also in Test cricket and also playing international sides for Australia A, there's enough there to suggest that there's some green shoots that if we just nourish, we just fertilise, are going to come out of the ground and we'll get a Test cricketer for the next 10 or 15 years out of him for sure.
Yeah, and that's the hope. But, you know, the old saying, cricket runs a currency. And the reality is there was the infamous Boxing Day knock against Jasper Bumrah and the Indians, 60-odd, and it was just one of the best morning sessions of cricket I've certainly ever seen in my life. Since then, there's been a few 20s and a few starts in the back end of that Indian series. you know, if we get through Rando, 3 tests in the West Indies, obviously very different conditions to what he'll experience back home in Australia at the end of the year. What do you think it looks like for Sam Constas? Do you feel that he's safe? And of course, to your argument, Maxie, people need to be getting runs below him. And when the Shield season comes around later on in the year, to put pressure on him. And until that happens, well, there won't be. How do you see it, Orlando?
I think that just how the whole batting performance was, not only for Australia, but for the West Indies, it was definitely a bowler's wicket out there in Bridgetown. So that will definitely forgive him. It's his first test since that India series 7 months ago. So that also plays into it. First time he's playing overseas on a new wicket. So I think you got all those factors coming in. I think the more practice he gets, the better. And we just got to be patient with him. The kid's 19 years old. We can't just keep swapping our openers every time they underperform. I mean, we've kept Aussie the whole time. He did well to score 47. I mean, 47 probably didn't seem much, but when you look at that first innings, it was almost the top score behind Travis Head, who looks at home back at number 5 as well. So, yeah, I think that for the meantime, we just got to be patient with Constas and, you know, the runs hopefully will come in the next 2 tests for him.
Obviously, he's still learning his craft, Maxie, but, you know, the big question is around his temperament and not so much a negative, whether he's too aggressive or he can't work it out and what it's going to be. It's just... We know that he can go to run a ball and be flamboyant. We've seen him in certainly Shield knocks as well, play more conservatively and ease into a more traditional Test cricket innings. Do you have an idea yet of what the best way to attack that opening spot is for Sam Constas? Or, like Sam Constas, are you still trying to work it out?
Oh, I think we're all trying to work it out. And I think, if anything, what you just said, Rando, has illustrated the point that has been proven not just in Constas's last 6 months in the spotlight, but for the last 2 or so years with the Australian Test cricket team, that opening the batting is really hard, and it's only getting harder because pitches are very difficult to bat on at the moment. Bowlers seem to be dominating the sport. They've figured out the wobble seam, like they're producing conditions which are making a really good contest between batters and bowlers, and it's never been more difficult to be an opening batter. I mean, we tried Steve Smith up there, and apart from one game against the West Indies at the Gabba where he scored 90 odd, he was awful. We put Marnus up there in the World Test Championship and he stunk up the joint. It's not an easy thing to do. It's arguably become like it's probably always nearly been that, but it's the hardest job in the sport to do so.
And I suppose, sorry to cut you off, but as, you know, the younger generation of Aussies, you know, on this podcast, we grew up with Matt Hayden and Justin Langer and David Warner, and it's like... We just expect it, and we expect a 40 to 45 plus average. But the reality is, opening the batting in Test cricket is bloody hard.
Yeah, it is really hard, and I think that it's the incentives for openers to continue to try and master this craft, even at the level below, is diminishing. Like, and we've seen that with Marcus Harris, who spent his entire career in Australia opening the batting first for Western Australia and then down in Victoria. Got his opportunity to Test cricket. These days, he's playing county cricket batting 4. Because the rewards for being a good opener at domestic cricket, they're not necessarily translating to international cricket where his average is mediocre and the opportunities that he's had. So it's going to be really difficult. I mean, someone's got to do the job. I think for Constas, I'm not so concerned by his temperament because I think particularly in that second innings, he didn't really have a chance to do anything other than try and survive. Like, other teams are allowed to be good, and Shamar Joseph was that against him. He gave him a thorough examination. You said he got 5 off about 38 deliveries or something like that. He was lucky to survive that long. I think he was dropped twice in the slips well before that. So it's going to be tough going. It's going to be difficult for him. But I think that we absolutely need to create, I guess, a bit of an exception in this instance and give this young man an opportunity to learn while he's on the job. Yeah. Look, that's not for everyone, but I think that now where we're at with the generation of batters coming through, with this generation, with this test cycle, with a view towards arguably a much more important series, a much more difficult series at the end of the year with the Ashes, he's the right man for the job. And
the World Test Championship cycle, I mean, it's kicked off in the perfect position over in the West Indies with what should be a relatively comfortable series win for Australia over there. So it's a good opportunity to say, as you say, just persist with Sam Constas and give him, obviously at least this series. We can say something, Randy?
Yeah, I was just going to talk about the stats of what openers have been experiencing in this decade when playing in the West Indies. You obviously had Jaiswal and Sharma, who just absolutely brained it in 2023 when they went over for the test. But then you look at the other players. You got Elgar, Markram. They're averaging below 30 in their innings there. Markram had 4 innings, averaged 25 in the Windies opening. You had the English openers go through, Crawley and Lees. They averaged below 30 as well. Even the Pakistani openers too struggled to get any runs in West Indies opening the bat. So that just says something about the wicket, how difficult it is. It's not that every player is killing it. I mean, Jaiswal, Sharma, they're just fucking they're just exceptionals. Yeah. So it's not all doom and gloom. First test, I'm sure that he'll be working on his game and definitely come out in the next 2.
Rando, the other, I shouldn't say minor headache, it's probably more than a minor headache again, as it's all sort of systems going, preparations for the Ashes at the end of the year, but it's Cam Green, not as an Australian Test cricketer, but as a number 3 batsman. Now, again, to your point, Maxie, there is no one else really pressing in case, say, I have to be the number 3 or the opener or whatever it might be. But Cam Green's been catapulted up the order. We know that he had plenty of success, and I think it was 3 tons in English county cricket 2nd division, but batting down the order at number 6 and number 5, I think, for one of the knocks. He came out at number 3 and had scores of 3 and 15. Now, Cam Green's had some big moments for the Australian Test team in New Zealand against India and some good scores, but obviously one of the biggest appeals to him to this side is his all-rounder ability. He's not really bowling for us at the moment. Hopefully he can get back to that and get his body to where he needs to be, but top order issues, it doesn't just stop at the openers. Cam Green's no good in his first stint there. Around a few good scores for the Australian Test side, there's been a lot of lower scores. I think you'll have a few numbers, but averaging early 30s. What is, again, how convinced are you of Cam Green as a top order batsman, and how long do Australia persist with him there? I'm not saying you change anything after one test and a couple of fails in the West Indies, but it's a concern.
Yeah, I think the worrying thing for Cam Green is he's played 30 test matches now, and he still feels like the work experience kid in many ways. Like, he's the fresh young thing that we're meant to be excited about, who's meant to represent the future and be the guy who's potentially one day going to captain this side. But 30 test matches is a lot. That batting average of 33 doesn't suggest right now that he's ready for the elevation up the order. And the facts are, he's got 2 test centuries, one of them in India. He scored a magnificent century in New Zealand, year and a half ago, 174 not. Pretty much won us the game in that series, which was a crucial series. But aside from that, he's not a guy whose performances immediately jump to mind and to suggest that the public can see in him what the selectors have seen in him. Now, I caveat that with saying that his record at Sheffield Shield level is amazing, and he has had several really good seasons, batting high in the order for West Australia, scored lots of runs, but he just seems to be a player who doesn't have a plan B at the moment. He's got a huge front pad. He's regularly getting dismissed with balls on that 5th stump line, edging them with the slips. His recent performances look more like a telephone number than a batting average, right? Like a lot of single digits. And it's really tough, I think, for the Australians to get as excited about him as I think the Australian cricket team want us to be about his potential.
And that's it, trying to understand like the fascination with him, because around those numbers, Rando, the 33 average is fine if you're batting at 6 and you're bowling a few key overs and giving your quicks a spell and that as well. But as a bloke who's only batting at the moment, batting at number 3 with a 33 average with, a few of the bigger scores coming down the order, that's where the concern comes in, right?
Absolutely, and this is the first time he is batting at 3. So actually the second time he batted at 3 earlier on in the World Test Championship, of course, and he's just averaging 5 in those 4 innings, which is just, as you mentioned, telephone number right there, probably even less than a telephone number there. But you look at it, batting 4, averages 53, 174 there, definitely helping his score. Batting at 6, though, that seems to be where he's at home. He's hit 1 ton, 6 50s in just 28 innings. That's basically hitting at least 50 or more runs every 4 innings that he plays at number 6. It just seems home for him. We saw him hit those tons in county cricket batting at 6 as well. I just don't think he's a number 3, at least not right now. I don't think we're ready to do that. Obviously, Steve Smith, we'll get to him in just a second, but he's going to come good, potentially play in this second test. And I wouldn't mind lowering Cam Green, maybe bringing up Travis Head, even though Travis Head looked great at number 5, but just to get Cameron Green a bit more chance with it. And also with that, Sam Constas has gone out cheaply for 3 and 4. He's coming in even earlier, basically facing still the new ball. So, it's really hard for him to score runs when his openers are struggling. And as you can see there, Khawaja got a duck in the first innings of that Australia-South Africa test. So he's basically in the thick of it straight away. They haven't seen off the new ball, and he's trying to basically bat as an opener because he's coming on so early. So I think it's been a bit tough for him in that regard, but whether he is our future number 3, I don't think so. I know that might be just for the time being while he can't bowl, but I think long road, he's definitely a lower order batsman, but whether he can take that position off Bo Webster, who's playing amazingly right now, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, Maxi, changes for the second test match against the West Indies. Steve Smith is expected to come back into this side. It'll likely be at the expense of Josh Inglis. Are we expecting the same lineup as the Test Championship final? Or do Australia look to go maybe Steve Smith at number 3 and bat Green at 4? You could potentially put Head to 4 and Green to 5. What are you thinking?
I think it'll be pretty straightforward. If Smith's fit to go, he'll come straight in for Inglis and probably bat at number 4. It's weird because the Australian Test team have made a real point in the last couple of years of saying that they want to just pick their best 6 batters and the position in the order doesn't matter, yet all of the data tells us that it really does. It shouldn't be any surprise to anyone that if it's tough to bat when the ball's new and got a little bit of movement in it, that it's inherently easy to bat in that number 5, 6 spots. So I don't mind Rando's idea of potentially shifting Travis Head 1 spot up to just help protect some of these guys who are a little bit younger and potentially not as skilled. Because at the moment, like, our top order is just lamb to slaughter stuff, right? Like, Shamar Joseph, he's a good bowler. Jaden Seals, good bowler. Like, these guys are decent at what they do, and the conditions to face early in these games, like, they're very conducive to fast bowling. So I wouldn't mind a little shift in the order, but I'm not confident on it because I just feel like the Aussies are Test team at the moment. They're pretty stubborn. I mean, we saw how long they clung on to Marnus and the hope that he was going to turn things around. I don't expect to see many wholesale changes. I think it'll just be Smith in for Inglis.
I was just checking up on Travis Head's stats at number 4. He's never batted number 4.
Never?
Yeah, never.
There you go.
There you go. He's a 5. He's a 5 specialist.
Well, look, Marnus hadn't opened until the World
Yes.
Test Championship. Cam Green hadn't batted at 3 until that same game. And 2 years ago, Steve Smith was an opener.
Yeah.
And now he said he's never going to do it again. So, look, stuff changes.
Yeah.
We need Sam Constas to get runs just to rectify any concerns. Aussie Khawaja, 47 and 15 in Bridgetown. So made starts. Hopefully the signs of things to come for Aussie. Boys, moving our attention over to the England and India first test match. England winning by 5 wickets, chasing down 373 in the 4th innings there. There was 7 centuries in the match. Ben Duckett, the hero, 149 off 170 balls in that 4th innings. Joe Root, 53, not out there as well. The concern, boys, coming out of this one from an Indian perspective is that ability to take 20 wickets. Now, Maxi, Jasper Bumrah, he's in a bit of doubt for this test match. You've got a little bit more on us for that, but a bit of a load management issue around his body at the moment. But Jasper Bumrah not getting enough support, basically, from his fellow Indian attack. How do they fix this? Who do they turn to? Is there an answer, or is it just all things Jasper?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I don't know if they've necessarily got the cattle to fix this problem at the moment. And there was a great stat from Wisden Cricket about the effectiveness of the Indian quicks since January 2024. So basically in that period now, which is spanning close to a year and a half, Jasper Bumrah has taken 78 wickets. The rest of their pace bowling attack has taken just 84 wickets. So he's almost matched all other seamers on his own. In that time, his average is just 15.8 for each wicket, runs conceded, and the rest of the quicks are conceding 33.65. He's also striking every 31 balls, and the other quicks at 50.1. So 50.1 is not bad, but particularly with the way that Test cricket's sped up in recent years, they're just not able to keep pace with him. And that's exactly what happened in that 4th innings of the first test. We saw Bumrah go wicketless after a 5-for in the first innings, and that was pretty much game over. I mean, you throw in their fielding woes and a number of dropped chances, and the writing was on the wall pretty early that England were going to do something special, and they did.
And that's it. Like the Australian opening issue, you can't just click your fingers and change something that's fixed. You need options. And perhaps, as you said, based on those stats, there aren't anyone that's really putting their hand up to give him a bit of a hand, Rando.
Yeah, absolutely. And you nailed it there with the stats, that it's just been basically a reliance there on Bumrah and Siraj the whole last couple of years for India. They need to bring in some new players. I think Greg Chappell, he was talking about Kuldeep Yadav, who has been behind Ashwin the entire time. He says he's the best wrist spinner since Shane Warne, which is a hell of a token to be coined. So yeah, I don't mind that option. I think that Eagle Eye people have been looking very closely at the Indian cricket Instagram page, and they did see Kumar Reddy in the slips and believe that he will be the man who will be called up. But yeah, I think not only do they need support from bowling end, but they need someone or any support in that batting lineup as well. They try to get bowlers to take those 20 wickets. It backfired. They put in Thakur, who was in there. He scored, I think, like single digits in both innings, so he didn't do anything to help their batting collapse. Besides the point, India's top order is able to score tons. They just need their bowlers to help back up, and at the moment they're not getting that support whatsoever. I mean, Bumrah is bowling 25% of the overs of all overs bowled since 2024. Crazy numbers.
And on top of that, so it sounds like Maxi, he will be rested at some stage during this series, potentially the next test, because he's a bloke who has had injury concerns over the last 12 months.
Yeah, absolutely. The Indian team management came out before the series and said he'd only played 3 or 5 games, just because they need to protect their greatest asset when it comes to Test match cricket, right, and manage his loads. It does show the point in some ways just how incredible these Australian fast bowlers are, that we're able to have this cartel so consistently on the field. Josh Hazlewood's last couple of years notwithstanding, but even in that case, we've had guys like Scott Boland, and the depth in our quicks has been good. So kind of feel sorry for Jasprit Bumrah in all of this, because his gifts are not necessarily being rewarded with the kind of team results that legends like him should be getting. Like the impact that he's able to have on his own is almost unmatched. Like how much better he is than everyone else when he plays these games and when he is fit. But it's just a shame at the moment he's not able to get that support. And I genuinely don't know what the answer is. I thought Prasidh Krishna potentially might be, after he stepped in at the SCG test when India last played Test match cricket and was fantastic. He was really, really good. But in this game, he was blunt and he went for more than 6 runs and over. So it just shows you, if they're not getting the right kind of conditions, then the rest of their bowling attack is just absolute cannon fodder.
Yeah, the Indian attack, big watch heading into this second test match against England. Boys, part 2 of the show, the World Team of the Week. Casting an eye to the best individual performances by Aussies around the world, and of course, just general world of cricket and who's turned it on. A bit of South African specialty this week as well. We'll get to that shortly, but Maxi, firstly, the Aussies in action. Yeah,
and look, I wanted to start out here with just a little bit of a speech one of my favourite cricketers at the moment, Mitch Owen. Now, Mitch Owen, he's just recorded 4 consecutive Man of the Match awards over in Major League Cricket in America, and this is the guy who was made famous by opening the batting in this last season of the Big Bash, but he's been doing it with both bat and ball, which is quite remarkable. Some of these performances, just to read out 2 of them in particular that caught my eye. So in the same game, he scored 89 off 52 opening the batting to help his side chase down over 200. And that was only after he took 3 for 33 from his 3 overs as well. So doing it with both bat and ball, which is pretty good on these pitches which are flat and runs are plenty. And then just after that, he had a game where he missed out with the bat. He got a duck. So what does he do? He picks up the ball. He took 5 for 17, which was quite remarkable. But what I want to say about Mitch Owen was that when he first burst onto the Australian cricket team as this young, prodigious talent, native Tasmanian in all of their systems, the one thing that really irked me about him was his nickname. And people started calling him Bison. Now, Aussie cricket fans will know that there's only one Bison, right? There's only one Bison in Australian cricket, and that's Mitch Marsh. And I'm unapologetically a huge fan of Mitch Marsh. Throughout his career, he's done amazing things. So when I started hearing people call this young Tasmanian Bison, I thought, I'm not here for it. And then his performances didn't match it either. But this last, let's say, 12 months, where he's lit it up for the Hobart Hurricanes, He lit it up for the Tasmanians in their one-day cup performance. He's now stepped into a couple of international T20 tournaments. 4 Men of the Match awards. He's made himself into that Australian T20 squad. So he's going to be playing in the T20 series in the West Indies immediately after this Test series. I think I'm almost prepared to call him Bison, Mitch Owen. So
it's sacrilege to do that and disrespect the great Mitch Marsh like that, especially for a player who, hence the nickname, has all the same attributes as a big, tall, medium fast bowler, powerful hitter, can bat across the order. There has to be some sort of alteration to Bison, even just junior Bison. It needs to be some sort of differentiation, right?
Yeah, and look, his name's Mitch Owen. Why doesn't he just call him Moen? That's fun. He's mowing him over cow corner. Unless you can
get that trending, please.
Yeah. Mo and Ali could take offence to that, though.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's true. But look, unless there's some Tasmanian mate of his who can tell us the etymology of that nickname and show that it didn't come from Mitch Marsh, I'll cop it. But look, I think he's earned the right for the Bison nickname for now. Although I would like proof that he didn't just copy one of my favourite cricketers. So he's having a good week.
Entomology, big word for this podcast, Max. You just watch yourself.
Word of the day, I think, for him.
Definitely word of the day. What else you got?
Obviously, I have to shout out Josh Hazlewood. Best for the Aussies in that second innings, 5 for 43. Ripped the heart out of those West Indies in that second innings. Was a really good performance. Dan Hughes, New South Welshman over there playing county cricket at the moment. 151 not out at the moment for Sussex versus Essex. So he's having a really good one after not picking up a Blues contract this year. Travis Head in that test match, he was pretty much the Aussies' best with the bat, 61 and 59 to lead the way. And also shout out to Chris Green.
Yeah.
Batting at 8 for Lancashire over in County 2s, which, again, as we saw from the current Cameron Green form so far, might not mean a lot, but you do need to pay respect to a man who scored his first-class century just a day ago, coming in at 8. So well done to Chris Green for turning up.
Yeah, massive. Getting the debut first-class ton over in the UK. Loving that. Rando, what about across the world of cricket? Not just Aussie specific, but what have you found?
Plenty of top performers to go around. I've been keeping a keen eye on the South Africa-Zimbabwe game, the Battle of Africa, I believe they don't call it. But it's been heading up. Sean Williams, 137, a great ton for him. Since 2020, only 10 Zimbabweans have hit, or not 10 Zimbabweans, only 10 test tons have been hit for Zimbabwe. 5 of those have gone the way of Sean Williams. So he has been the informed batter for them. And once again, standing up. They've got a bit of a bridge to climb. They need 505 more runs to claim the test. So hopefully they can at least force a draw, although it is a couple of days left in that one. But the big one, Luandre Pretorius, the youngest player to hit 150 runs in tests at just 19 years old and 93 days. Not only that, he hit the fastest ever 150 by a South African player in test, beating A.B. de Villiers' old record. Hit it off just 157 deliveries. So he was getting there in a hurry. Elsewhere, we had Sri Lanka up against Bangladesh in the test. Prabhat Jayasuriya just keeps doing doing the good thing, I guess. He got 5 for there. Now, that was his 12th fifer in 41 test innings with the ball. That puts him equal third for fifers by a Sri Lankan in tests. He equals with the great Chaminda Vas. He had 194 test innings and only managed 12 fifers. So quite the incredible stat there for Jayasuriya. He's still a long way off Rangana Haraf, who has 34 fifers, and he'll never catch Murali, who had 67 fifers. But Jayasuriya there, great stuff. I can't believe he's 33. Only getting his start so late, but he is absolutely killing it. And then, of course, the Windies, they ran through the Australians with the ball. Jaden Seals in that first innings, 5 for 60. And then Shamar Joseph, 9 for the match. And Ian Healy made some comments telling him to basically stay in his lane. He hasn't achieved anything but just get a few wickets on a bowler's deck in Brisbane. He's come out and had to apologise and eat his own words after the way that Joseph stood out there. Yes, he has. I was trying to find the quote, but
well, just throwing in there 44 off 22 just for shits and giggles as well. It's
handy game.
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah, what do you say here? Do you believe I was talking about what the dressing room might say to Constance? Gee, sec.
Rando, I'll save you from your own pain.
Yeah, please do.
You don't have the Ian Healy quotes, but that's all right.
There is an Ian Healy quote here, and he just said he bowled beautifully today. It's not easy, and with so much gold around your neck. So he was a bit of a backlash, backhanded compliment.
Backhanded from Heels. Boys, that'll do us for the Cricketers Playbook podcast for the week. Maxi Bryden, thank you, mate.
Pleasure, mate. Looking forward to the second test.
Bloody oath. Rando.
Pleasure, boys. Pleasure. And I'm looking forward to the second test. Hopefully I'll finish my morning coffee before we get bowled out this time. Because,
Fingers crossed,
when
mate.
I was recording it, got the coffee out before I finished it, Australia are all out.
How bad's the time zone for Aussies?
Terrible
So bad.
stuff.
Anyway.
Stuff.
Righto, guys. Thanks for tuning in this week. We'll talk to you next week.